Lions fans, what's going on? It's Mitch here of TheBottomLineView, here to give you my record prediction for the Detroit Lions in 2022, giving you my thoughts on the schedule, matchup by matchup, game by game, giving you my picks for every single matchup for 2022. If that sounds good, don't forget to spike the like button and subscribe to the channel for more BLV just like this. Also, hop in the comment section below and let me know how you think the Lions may perform in 2022. Great, below par, or improved. Let's pick some games. Lions fans, it's the moment of truth. 2022, your record prediction. Let's begin. Week number 1, the Philadelphia Eagles at Detroit. This is going to be a tough game. The Eagles, to me, are the top team in their division with the most talent on both offense and defense. Jalen Hurts, though, is a quarterback that you can certainly beat if he has an off day throwing the football. The focus will be here for the Lions to protect Jared Goff, which is going to be difficult because the Eagles have a very strong defensive line, one of the strongest in the game, maybe the deepest in the game. And then offensive line-wise, they've got a very good offensive line. So can Aiden Hutchinson make an immediate impact? Can the home crowd help that pass rush affect Jalen Hurts? Huge. I could see this game being tight, and I could see the Lions hanging around here, but I do have too much respect for what the Eagles have done this offseason to boost themselves into contendership. So I'm going to go with the Eagles in week 1. Week 2, I think you get your first win of the season. So you split your first 2 home games of the year. I think you can beat Washington. Now, Washington isn't a bad team, I would say. They've got a strong defensive line and a front 4 that can rush the passer and affect Jared Goff. But I do have faith in your offensive line to protect him. I do think a big game here for DeAndre Swift could happen, especially as a receiver on top of TJ Hawkinson. You can really attack Washington down the middle of the field with your 2 weapons from the backfield and at tight end. That could be huge. Defensively, Carson Wentz is very iffy, especially on the road. He can take a lot of bad sacks and make some bad plays and force some passes that aren't there. The Lions can take advantage of that and then win this game. Week 3, the Minnesota Vikings. I think this year you're actually going to play much better against your division. I think the first year, Dan Campbell, new coaching staff, trying to figure out what the division is all about, trying to play all those teams competitively, but also knowing that you're probably not going to do very well because you were kind of rebuilding. On top of that, you didn't have familiarity with everyone. So this season, I think you're going to do better against your division. That being said, I think the first game being in Minnesota is going to be a tough one to win. Minnesota, I always give a ton of respect for that home field. I think it's one of the better, louder stadiums in the league. Kirk Cousins, I think, is the better quarterback in this game, and I do think they've got the more explosive unit on offense. I will take the Vikings there. Week number 4, the Seattle Seahawks. Very winnable game once again here. I think Seattle, traveling on the road, they're going to be a much different team. I think in Seattle, they can pull off some upsets because of that crowd, because of the 12th man that they do have. But I think Seattle on the road, Drew Lock or Geno Smith, very iffy quarterback position. You have the superior quarterback here. I think you got the superior offensive line. I think you might have the superior defensive line. I think overall, as long as you guys play your game, you should come out with the win in a close one. Week number 5, the New England Patriots, my Patriots, at home. I would say that the Lions could make this one interesting if it was in Detroit, but I have too much respect for Gillette Stadium on top of Mac Jones. And Mac Jones, I think, is going to be leading a very, very nice offense this season with some improved play at wide receiver. I think the Patriots will give you all you can handle. I do think the Patriots win that game. Now you go to the bye week. Then you got week 7 against the Dallas Cowboys. So that'll be a nice game. The Dallas Cowboys, I think, is a game where if you can run the ball on them, you can make this one interesting. Now, I'm going to give the Cowboys the win because I just believe Dak Prescott is the superior quarterback in this matchup. I do think they've got a pretty good offense and a dangerous defense that can cause some turnovers. So ultimately, at home in Dallas, if they get one interception or one big play defensively, I think that's going to sway it for me. Detroit, though, can hang in there, like I said, if they can find a way to control the clock and run the ball on Dallas's defense, which is possible. Week number 8, the Miami Dolphins at Detroit. This is another game where you play a quarterback that to me is a little bit dicey. I think that you can pull this upset off. Miami is one of the teams that a lot of people are high on entering the season as they've added a ton of players. I do really like some of their offensive pieces. I think they're going to be very tough to stop, and because of that, I think they win the game. But if Tua has one of his bad games and you can affect him and pressure him, you can win this game. So it's another one where I could see the Lions maybe upsetting this team. Week number 9, you play the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to say you guys beat the Packers this year. And in the Packer video, I said it would be the last game of the season. So that's just what I'm going to go with in this video. But I could see it going either way. I could see you beating them the first one at home and then losing to them on the road if they do go full out on the last game of the year. And if they don't, I think that's an easy win in week 18, and then you drop the one early in the year. Either way, I think you're going to split with the Packers this season. I just have a feeling about that. I've said in the past some outlandish things about the Lions sweeping them and stuff, which never happened. But I do think that the Lions this year, with their improvement on offense and defense, I think that they can beat the Packers once, along with Devontae Adams no longer being there, who was so difficult for you guys to stop. Week number 10, you play the Chicago Bears in Chicago. I'm going to take the Bears at home in this division rivalry. Nothing really to be said there other than it's a division rivalry. Most likely the team at home is going to pull it off, and I'm just going to take you guys to beat them at home later in the season, which is week 17. I think Chicago, you are better than Chicago, in my opinion. I think your team is better. I think you've got the better offense, better on the line of scrimmage for sure. I think Chicago's taking a step back while you guys are taking a step forward. Week number 11, you played the New York Giants. The Giants are another team just like Miami where I think they can be had given on how their quarterback plays. Daniel Jones is inconsistent, but inconsistent also means he can play well. So they've got an offense and a coaching staff, Brian Daboll, Don Martindale. I really respect their additions that they've made in their coaching staff. I think they do have the edge in that regard. And I do think that you guys are pretty even. Like, I could see that game going either way, but I'm going to give the Giants the edge and just say Daniel Jones has a better day than Jared Goff. Here's the difference for me in that matchup. I feel like Jared Goff is more like a straight line, right? Daniel Jones is more up and down like a roller coaster, but he has more capacity to play at an elite level, while Jared Goff has more capacity to just kind of stay the same. So a lot of these games might be dependent on if Jared Goff can raise his level just a little bit to make more plays. Because a lot of times with Jared Goff, it just feels like he's managing the game, and we need to see him make more throws and more plays. Okay? Week number 12, you play the Buffalo Bills. I'm expecting the Bills to come out with the win there, even though it's on Thanksgiving in Detroit. I just think it's Josh Allen. I mean, this is arguably the best quarterback, arguably the best team in the NFL. So the Buffalo Bills should probably win that game. Week 13, you play Jacksonville. I have you guys beating Jacksonville. I think that you're, again, pretty even in terms of talent. Trevor Lawrence is the guy like Daniel Jones here that I talked about that has maybe more capacity to play well, but just like Daniel Jones has a capacity to play pretty bad as we saw last year. So I think you win that game, and the reason is I think Aiden Hutchinson has an impact on getting after Trevor Lawrence and making plays. I think your defensive line is going to be able to disrupt a bad tackle position of the Jags and make life difficult on Trevor Lawrence. On top of that, I think that you guys can run the ball a bit on their defense and make it easy on Jared Goff. Week 14, you play the Vikings at home. I'm going to say you split with the Vikings. I think you're going to beat the Vikings this year. I think that they're, with a rookie head coach, there can be some inconsistencies once teams trying to kind of figure out, what their money is, what their money plays are, what their schemes are like. I feel like teams are going to start to catch on. So maybe earlier in the year they catch fire, but later in the year maybe they slow down. That could be a possibility. I think Minnesota is more talented than you guys. They got the better quarterback than you guys. All that stuff. But I just think division matchup, the Lions are going to play better in their division as I promised, and I think they're going to win this game. Week 15, you play the Jets. This one's interesting. Another game here where I feel like it's possible you guys win, but I think the Jets are going to be getting better as this season goes on because they're such a young team. I think they've got a ton of young talent, and I feel like they're going to start to hit their peak and be a dangerous team to pull off a lot of upsets later in the year. I'm going to say the Jets win that game over the Lions. But again, if they're not quite what I think, the New York Jets, I could see the Lions winning that game. Week 16, another game against the Panthers where I think they could win this game. Definitely. I think that the Lions could easily win this game. But I'm going to call this the Matt Corral game. They play on a Saturday, and I think Matt Corral, by this point in the season, is going to get a start, and I'm just going to say he wins one of these games because I'm a huge Matt Corral fan. So call me biased, whatever you want, but I'm just going to say that the Panthers win that game at home. So ultimately, that's what your record is going to be. I have you at 6-11, but as I went through your entire schedule, that's a huge improvement from last year, by the way, 6-11. That's a big improvement. I still think a lot of these games, you would do a lot better if you had a better quarterback. I think if you had a quarterback that I had more faith in, let's say a top 15, top 20 quarterback, if you had Matthew Stafford still, I would probably make you guys a 9-win team. But overall, I think that Jared Goff kind of holds you back in a lot of these matchups. On top of that, I still think you need some improvement, especially defensively. But overall, there's some games here where I have you losing that I think are possible that you could win. The Dolphins, the Bears, the Giants, the Jets, the Panthers. All these games are possible that I have you losing in that you could win. Now, there are a couple games that I have you winning that you could lose too. So, like the Packers, you could certainly lose twice, and a game against maybe the Vikings too. So, let me know, Lions fans, where you stand. Do you think they are about 6-11? Do you think they're worse than that? Do you think they're better than that? Let me know in the comment section below. It's Mitch. Appreciate you watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.